when I decided to make this film about the people in my life, the relationship with people in my life to music, wouldn't it be great if I could find Blair, but I probably won't be able to, because I couldn't think of someone who actually
would possibly know me.
No, it was more like I just meant the reason I thought it was important for you to be in this is because I couldn't think of anyone who played such a role at such a time in my life. In the late 70s, when I was 15 and in love with music more than anything else, but not knowing too much of anything, you introduced me to songs and albums by these artists. The Allman Brothers, Cream, the Yardbirds, FM, Nash the Slash, Bob Marley, Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush, Gatto, Rough Trade, Frank Zappa, Sparks, Jerry Rafferty, Wings, Muddy Waters, B.B. King, Donovan, Neil Young, Buffalo Springfield, Teenage Head, Blondie, Johnny Winter, George Thorogood and the Destroyers, The Clash, the Buzzcocks, Derek and the Dominoes, XTC, the Boomtown Rats, Robert Palmer, Gary Newman, Talking Heads, Springsteen, Dylan, Rolling Stones, Keith Solo, Ian Jury, Nick Lowe, Elvis Costello, 10cc, Kate Bush, Alan Parsons Project, Jeff Wayne, Slade, The Who, Roxy Music, Brian Eno, Van Morrison, Tom Petty, Dire Straits, Genesis, Peter Gabriel, Devo, Joe Jackson, The Police, Lena Lovitch, Nina Hagen, Patti Smith, The Demics, Bruce Coburn, New York Dolls, Iggy Pop, The Stooges, Bowie, Mott the Hoople, Blue Peter, Bram Tchaikovsky. The point is, wow, and thank you. Were you thinking about music then, or was it just happening?
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Before I even moved to Toronto, I started thinking about music. My brother did a job for somebody. I don't know what he was doing, engineering job of some sort. And got paid with a guitar. So that's how I was introduced to a guitar. So I picked this thing up and decided, this is pretty cool. So I started listening to guitar-based music, listening to the bands then, which was pretty dreary, really. I don't remember what I listened to at the time. Things like Argent and bands I probably can't even remember the names of. And Jimi Hendrix. That's when I decided I really have to learn this thing. Mm-hmm. This is what I want to do. So I started listening to music. Came to North York. Started working at Mother's Pizza because I'd worked at one in Kitchener when I was there. And it was a perfect time for music. That's when everything just started exploding, wasn't it? When did 1976 and 75 was when things started happening with music and New Wave and Elvis Costello and things like that. I remember when I was still in Kitchener, there was some show they put on, like an assembly, and the band played, and they played Mystery Dance. And that grabbed me. I thought, that is so cool. I want to do that. And somebody else played Roundabout on the piano by, what was that, Emerson, Lake and Palmer?
Yes. I mean, it was Yes. The band, Yes.
Was it the band, Yes? Yeah. Oh, okay, whatever. And it was just, wow, this is neat. Mm-hmm. And then moved to Toronto, nothing to do, work at the pizza place, and there was so much music happening. Fortunately, when I was in Toronto, my brother, who's he admitted this summer that he's addicted to buying records and listening to music. That is his addiction in life. Going to record stores across the country. Last time he came out to visit, he stopped in at record stores right across the country and through the northern states. On the way back as well. He spent more on records, he said, than gas to get here. And when he got here, we went to used record stores. So his room was right next to mine when we lived in North York. Mm-hmm. And he introduced me to SCTV. He introduced me to all these bands of music that I heard coming through the door. So that's where a lot of my influences came from, just him exposing me to things. Mm-hmm. And then once we started eating, it was like a buffet of music coming out then. Mm-hmm. So much going on in Toronto with these indie bands all over the place. Mm-hmm. It was an explosion.
Right.
It was a great time.
Do you remember the first band or album or single or whatever that you really fell in love with?
The Beatles. We were finally allowed to take a cassette recorder to the cottage. It was a rustic place that you had to portage to.
Mm.
No electricity, propane lights and stove. And we were allowed to take, for the first time, years in, a cassette deck. So I took 2 Beatles cassettes with 4 albums on it. Sgt. Pepper, definitely. I don't remember what the 4 were, but listened to them over and over again, which I got from my brother, of course, who got the first stereo in our family after the parental big console thing, the record player, where you could stack them, and it played 78. So he got the first stereo, and he's the one who started buying records. So that's where I got all my music from. Everything from classic to Celtic, every jazz, blues, rock. He listens to it and collects it all.
Right.
He only doesn't listen to country and western.
Right.
Everything else is open game for him.
Right.
He has an aversion to twang or anything related to twang. I think that's what it is. We've never really talked about his aversion to country and western. My brother had expanded his stereo and record collection, and I was not allowed to go up there, but I did and got in trouble often using his stereo. And I would play his records, and I'd listen to them coming through the floor from upstairs. So that's probably where I got interested in the blues. My brother and I would take our 10-speeds and head down to Jarvis, go to all those great bars along there and listen to live bands.
Right.
Which were all blues bands, basically. Sven Blues was born in a grade 10 Latin class. I was new at the school, and this girl turned to me and said, "What's your name?" And I didn't talk to girls then. So I told her my name was Sven Blues, or my name was Sven. And then I started playing with the guys in Scarborough, the Tech Boys.
Right.
Johnny Corehammer and the guys. And I continued to use Sven for that and added blues to it, because that's what I was most interested in playing. In fact, that was the first band other musicians I ever played with, was those guys, going to Scarborough and not really knowing how to play, which was perfect for the punk days. But then I was Sven Blues ever since then. My first wife made me a necklace out of some gold she had, a guitar pick with Sven Blues on it, engraved into it, which I still have, except for the necklace. I think one of my sons lost it in an air vent at one point. So I've always been Sven Blues since then. I even get the new band members to call me Sven whenever they introduce me. Don't introduce me as Blair. I'm Sven. Come on.
I guess it was surprising when I found you that you were still playing music, because not that you weren't good, you were good, but that it was such a lark.
Every song I ever wrote back then was a parody of punk or blues, which was why I was never a great songwriter. But I would just make fun of things. Yeah. Never took it seriously. I remember doing 'Cause We're in Love in my mother's parents' basement out of Woodstock. And there was this a couple there, standing there. They dropped a beer bottle during our first song, I think. And he said, "This sucks. Let's get out of here." And she said, "They're funny. Come on." And that encouraged me to carry on with that. That was hilarious.
So how long has there been any interruption to your
many
playing? Yeah.
Many interruptions. The first divorce, moved out west, which I realized a few years later was me bringing one of my Sven Blues songs to life, of my baby leaving me and moving out west. Never knew that was going to happen, but it actually happened. I don't share music with anybody anymore. I'm mostly a consumer. I consume things for my brothers, and about 10 years ago, I decided I'm going to listen to blues a lot more. So I started on the internet. And
Mm.
there was a band or a website at the time called Music Plasma that would show you related bands so of the same genre. You listen to this, well, these are related closely or more distantly. And I explored everything I could find. I was really excited when I found the genre of country blues because my current wife, is a big country fan. So I do have country in my life.
Right.
So I thought, oh, country blues, this is perfect. The crossover between the two of us, which is things like Leadbelly and people of that ilk.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to my brother, he always says, here, listen to this. Here's something else. That's his Christmas gift of the year is here's a few CDs that he's made.
Right.
Always introducing us to new things all the time. Because that's what he does. He just craves new music. That's his addiction, as I mentioned.
Right.